Hey, folks. In light of the airplay panels and Professor Sommer's recent discovery, I thought that it would be a good opportunity to talk about this. Furries have, pretty much since the beginning of Gamergate, been a good chunk of Gamergate supporters. Now, if you don't know what a furry is, Google it. You will thank and or hate me later. Now, I've been seeing a lot of comments coming up in relation to this that not only show that furries are a good contingent of Gamergate supporters, but there have actually been people that have been asking not what a furry is, because I think that that's pretty much common internet knowledge at this point. They've been asking why furries support Gamergate, or saying some stereotypical things about furries, or such and such things. First, let me explain why I feel furries are supporters of Gamergate. The first part is furries tend to generally be nerd culture as well. A lot of furries are D&D enthusiasts, role players, gamers, geeks, comic book fans, superhero movie buffs, etc., etc. General nerd culture. At least one thing from that. Also, a furry is also English hard. So there's a giant overlap in that regard. But the second and more important thing I find is you have a group of people who for decades have been demonized by the media. They've been made into these monsters just by the media's own stereotyping and portrayals, which has seeped into what the common idea of a furry is. And then you have the gaming media, which is now trying to do that to gamers. And furries, a lot of furries anyway, are gamers themselves. So they saw the writing on the wall, and they were very quick to support Gamergate because they did not want that to happen again to gamers in general. At least that's my own belief. I could be blowing smoke out my ass for all I know, but to me that is what makes the most sense. But you really do have to stop and think. This is a group of people who the media for years and years and years has said are hypersexualized. They all wear fursuits. They want to fuck in sports mascot costumes, etc., etc. And now you have the gaming media and the mainstream media as a whole demonizing gamers as misogynist, terrorist, white supremacist, etc. You have to stop and think to yourself, maybe those furries got a bad rap. I've seen what the media can now do. It could be, possibly, that they had it first. So I don't think that I honestly don't think that there are Gamergate supporters that actually have a problem with furries. From what I've seen, Gamergate supporters are the most diverse, open, accepting group of people I've ever seen on the internet. Hands down. They really are. So I'm probably just preaching the choir with this, but I have seen some questions rise up in some different videos and their comment section. So I thought that I should just do a quick little thing to talk about this, to, at least from my own perspective, explain things a little bit easier. And I have seen some things, and I would like to make this just one quick point. Just because a person's first crush was maybe Chitara from Thundercats does not mean that they are any different, realistically, from a person whose first crush was Pamela Anderson from Baywatch. They just like different things. That does not mean that they are different people or should be treated differently. And again, I know I'm preaching the choir here. Just something that probably should be said. It's common sense stuff. I know that this isn't going to be something that's a shocking revelation. But you never know. I have seen a lot of people who still don't know about furries. Professor Sommers is an example. And people who still not necessarily believe the stereotypes, but still think of them as fairly accurate. So maybe this can act as something of a second thinking, if you will, to try and reevaluate. Because furries, as I said, have been and still are a large chunk of Gamergate supporters, and probably will always be, because furries have seen how bad the media can be, and they don't want that seeping into gaming culture as well. Anyway, this has just been me rambling about sort of a one-off thing that happened during the airplay, but I thought would be interesting to talk about. Peace out.